Hey, this is Nicholas with the Backyard TARDIS here with another audio drama review. This time we're going to be looking at Big Finish's Stargate Volumes 1 and 2. And so just before we get into spoilers, just a few little bit of synopsis. So as kind of maybe you've seen in some of my previous videos, I'm a huge fan of Big Finish audio dramas. And they truly are audio dramas. And I'm a huge Stargate fan. And so this was something I was looking at buying these on CD, like used on eBay, because I really wanted to hear these. But they didn't have the license anymore. Now that Amazon has bought the property, they're kind of renewing some of these old licenses for products, books, and different things, republishing them. Just trying to probably gauge the interest in Stargate, our Stargate fans wanting to spend money. Now, I would say the better thing to do would be to maybe publish a new one, because I imagine that a lot of Big Finish Stargate fans already had these. So the market of people like me who are into audio dramas and are big into Stargate, but were maybe too young back then to have known about it, are probably a lot of a smaller market to gauge whether or not there's an interest on it. So that's just a thought. Another thing, and this is kind of a message to Nicholas Briggs, because push for this, especially if it ends up not being a continuation of Brad Wright's universe. There is a huge thirsting Stargate community that wants to see this connected universe that existed over 3 different shows, plus TV movies, all that together. They want to see this world continue, work with Brad Wright, get some scripts. A lot of these actors are active. They go to cons. They like these roles. They would be willing to come back. And I think you would be surprised by the amount of support if it got the love that you give to stuff like Space 99, to Doctor Who, UFO, these different things. It definitely has a huge fan base. And to me, kind of dominated the 90s, early 2000s sci-fi. Like, this is something that was able to rival Star Trek in kind of like its prime golden age of like the TNG era. So Stargate was really big, and this is all during a period of time when Doctor Who was pretty much off the air. Stargate kind of came in and filled that void, and one of the reasons why I got into Doctor Who is because of Stargate. Stargate had that idea of mixing aliens and ancient cultures, which you see constantly in Doctor Who. Oh, it's not vampires, it's aliens. It's not, it's not Greek gods, it's aliens. It's not Thor. Thor is like a Roswell alien. So this is something, definitely, there's a lot of what I think is like Big Finish type DNA in Stargate that you guys could really dig down into this lore. And I know you don't know, but this is an opportune time to take it on. Fight for this license. Now, what's interesting is, at the time, most of the people there did not really know what Stargate was all about, but they had an individual that was there, and she really liked Stargate, said, let's do this, the license is up, and she kind of reached out. I'm going to say, first off, I'm a little spoiled by what Big Finish puts out now. These were a little bit less of what I was expecting, because I was kind of expecting full cast. When you are getting either the person or like really spotted impersonators of all the doctors and the companions, and like some of the main characters, to this where it is one main series actor reprising their role, doing other actors' imitations, and that like the fact that they didn't get David Hewlett, who was probably busy at this point in time. He was working on making some movies and stuff. But one of the things you'll find funny is everybody's Hewlett impression throughout it, because he's the main constant character of the show. So it was interesting to see who does it, and different people, their take on Rodney. So with that, I'm going to say that this is definitely good. This is definitely fun if you're a Stargate fan. Check it out. However, I would not say that this is the top tier of Big Finish. Because this is a much more dialed back project. Certainly enjoyable stories, great writing, but when it comes to the audio part of it, the fact that it's almost more like an audio book, as in you have one person portraying 4 or 5 different actors or roles in the show, and not actually having it, fully voiced. Even if it wasn't voiced by the original actors, it'd be nice to have a full voice cast. So that little caveat, like it took me for a little bit of a moment to get, oh, this is not. I was, but if you're thirsty for new Stargate, this is probably, it might be new Stargate to you, and it's some excellent stories all throughout the thing. So let's get into that, and always as we go into it, there will be spoilers.
Spoilers.
Okay, so now we're going to go through the story by story, kind of give you a little synopsis and kind of a little bit of spoilery discussion of what I think about it. So the first one we see, the actor they got was Tori Higginson, Dr. Elizabeth Weir, and it's called A Necessary Evil by Sharon Gosling. Now, Shepard and his team, once again Shepard played by Tori Higginson, goes and they find this place where, like, these people are completely cloaked, but then it's not even cloaked, they're out of phase. So they come into the city and it appears to them, and they immediately realize, wow, these people could help us. But as Weir goes there to do some investigating, they find out everything isn't on the up and up. See, this thing has a barrier, a certain amount of land it can do. And while the haves are living lavishly in nice houses and all that, everyone else is on the outer range. They're like just tacked into little apartments, and there's no easing. There's no let's moderate. And they're like, well, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. Even if we eased up in a couple of generations, more people would be born and it would be more poverty. And so there's the rebels who are basically, they'd rather be Wraith worshippers and be in a situation where they're helping the Wraith than live in this poverty. And they'd rather take the chance with that. And so they're trying to destroy the phase shift thing and get the Wraith's attention and have that form of protection, because it is almost, yes, they're safe from the Wraith, but it's almost like a prison life to them. And so they're going back and forth. Atlantis wants this technology, but not at this expense. And just the emotional impact of, now they go in, now they're going to destroy the thing. And Weir goes in as like a hostage negotiator. She goes in and they kind of convince him to do a compromise. Okay, bring a Wraith into phase. Instead of you unphasing the whole city and blowing it all up, bring a Wraith into phase and see how it goes. And he just goes to town, brutally murdering his men and, sucking them dry. And when they see just what that is, they realize just how wrong they were. And it's just, but it's really interesting. In the show, they make a point of the only reason why Weir gets this job is because she is like an international crisis negotiator. So it is really nice to see a story that's all about that, because we don't get to see it that much in the show. In fact, we probably got to see Woolsey do it as much as we did Weir. So it's really nice to see that this is like taking her character and having her do the thing she is supposed to be excellent at doing. Why she was given this command. Because she's an anti-military, yet she's commanding a military expedition. Okay, number 2. This is Merchant of Dream by Sally Malcolm. And this one was our Paul McGillion, Dr. Beckett, and he wakes up and he's a patient and he can't remember, and he's like in this whole dream state, and There's a wraith locked in there, and they're going around, and he's finding out, like, oh, all these people are sick, they're sick, they're sick. And they realize, like, he has to come out of it, he has to save them. But it's just like this constant, the psychological stuff. And this is, I believe, Nicholas Briggs, who, like I said, he's not a big Stargate fan, but he plays this, like, doctor tormenting him, kind of, no, you're crazy, this. And Beckett's really like, this stuff doesn't add up. This is just a great Beckett story because it's all around doctors, all around that, but it's mental mind games, and really shows just the love and the extent that Carson goes to. Okay, our third one here, 0 Point by James Swallow. This one was a Zelenka story, and he's, let's see, he's going to do this survey aboard the starship, and Rodney has basically volunteered him for it because it is a boring assignment, and he is so bored. But then Zelenka notices that it suddenly becomes not so boring, and he's fighting for his life, and Rodney's like, I should be there. Oh, you're gonna mess it up, we're all gonna die. And the interesting idea of, like, these alien beings that they go and they surround the sun to absorb its radiation, and they're sentient alien flying beings in the sky. It just really gets to show off Zelenka's smarts, gets to show off his passion against not being a military man, but give a little bit of his backstory. Being someone from the Ukraine, going through all that, what's interesting is listening to this now, while we have everything going on with Ukraine right now, really kind of hit home. Next up, we have Impressions by Scott Andrews. And this is a Kevin Smith or Major Lauren. This is a character that I liked. It was kind of just an all squeeze on the sides character that never really got to get expounded upon, but a character I liked nonetheless. So it was really great to see him expounded upon. And one of the things that was in the show was that he liked to paint. That was just like a passing thing, like whenever they'd have leave or something, they would just show him, oh, he's off painting. And so they built a whole episode around that. This unique idea of these aliens that are in the thing, and they're only able to, like, they're trying to contact him because he's someone who sees the world artistically. All these people are scientists. They see it so pragmatically. They're military and scientists that they can't communicate with him, but they're able to just a little bit communicate with Lauren because he sees the world through colors, and, like, he's just going crazy doing these paintings, doing stuff that doesn't make sense. He thinks he's going insane, but then at a certain point he realizes he's not going insane. He's got to be the one to save the city. They're trying to destroy this thing, and he realizes this is a sentient being that has been put into the city, a living city. Now, what's interesting is these are from another dimension, the idea or concept of cities that are formed, and, like, people are just the living organisms that are just like we have living organisms inside us, but they're actual sentient cities, and that they looked for somewhere to hide this kid from being destroyed by an enemy, and they looked in our dimension, and there was a suitable thing. It was Atlantis. And this is causing Atlantis to mix up and do things, which is why they're trying to wipe and take this thing out, because it's messing with their systems. What I love about this is one of the things that the writers always said they wanted to do with the show that never truly delivered on was they wanted the city to be a character of itself. And because they never gave it like an AI voice, but they wanted the city to almost be temperamental, react to their... And that's not something that they eventually did, but when they initially were designing the city, thinking of the city, that's something they said. So seeing the city actually do that in this show, and having Major Lauren be the one that could see that, was kind of a really cool concept of bringing that initial idea for Atlantis back into the focus. Now, The Kindness, Strangers by Sharon Gosling. This one is another a Beckett one, but this time he's set to save these immigrants, but they find out as the evacuation begins that they have basically a leper colony. And these people have been casting these people out. And, as a doctor, he's like, I gotta go, I gotta save them. And you come to find out it's actually what's causing why they're having to evacuate this planet. It's actually what causes the disease. And then all these people, when they leave this planet, they'll all be healthy. It wasn't a contagious disease to begin with at all. But just the Beckett just striving, be the good doctor he is, save these people at all costs, risking his life to do it. This is just great Beckett. This is why we love Beckett, and I really like how they get him to shine in this. And just, also the study of human character and behavior, and the way stuff like leprosy, as somebody who's really, into Bible history, like seeing how they dealt with that. Now, this wasn't leprosy, but it was being treated the same way, and so I found that very interesting. Now, the last one. This one was so powerful. Meltdown by David McClinty. Off-world mission. They find a nuclear facility. It turns out that this is Zelenka's there, and what does he find but the it's a Gemini trap. They have lit the reactor this way, but Zelenka's in the room with somebody trying to talk them through it, trying to help them understand, like, if we don't work together, we're dead. All your people are dead. Like, everyone on this planet is dead. You're my mortal, and it's some kid soldier. And he's drank the Kool-Aid. Zelenka's trying to get through him. And then we get some of Zelenka's backstory. We get to find out, just like what life was like for him as a kid going into that. I think I touched on this earlier. It was really more this story, but really goes into it. Just what war-like time was him under, like, the oppression of the USSR and Germany, and like all that stuff going on in that sort of portion of the world at that time. And he understands fear. He understands being there where the bombs are dropping on you, and so he is why one of the reasons why he's always so cool. Like, he may go, how does that, that, but when you see other characters that like Rodney, like, just losing his mind, Radek is always really good about this. Amazing performance, really tragic story. Really enjoyed it. Radek needed more times. Zelenka just, like, he needs to have more times to shine. He needed more episodes. And so I was glad to get this story. Now the big question. Who had the best David Hewlett impression? And I'm going to go with Paul McGillion. I think he did a really good version of Rodney McKay. So out of them, that Zelenka's Rodney sounded like Zelenka pretending to be Rodney and not actual Rodney. So it was funny, but it was probably that. Tori Higginson was maybe, well, she got like Shepard down pat. I don't know that. And Kevin Smith nailed Colonel Shepard. Like, he nailed him, and he did a pretty decent McKay too. So it was good to see all that. Overall, I really enjoyed this. There was a lot of great sci-fi stories, but look into this as almost like audiobook short stories with sound effects and stuff, but it is definitely an audiobook. You're going to hear inner thought monologuing. You're going to hear that it is not an audio drama, so to speak. It is an audiobook with sound effects, and if you go in with that mindset, you're gonna enjoy it. Enjoy it for the stories, getting to these actors that we haven't gotten to see in these roles for a while. So if you're itching, go on the Big Finish app show Amazon you want to put your money where your heart is. You want more Brad Wright Stargate. And send them an email saying, hey, make more of these Big Finish. We'll buy them. Because this might be the only way we're going to get more Brad Wright Stargate. With that, hope everybody's enjoying them. What are you looking for? What kind of Stargate stuff do you want to see? And what do you want to see from Big Finish? Let me know in the comments down below. Okay, to conclude this video, we're going to do a little game here. I'm going to play a clip of each of the voice actors doing their impression of Rodney McKay, their co-host, David Hewlett. So let me know down in the comment section below which person did it best. And remember,
Big Finish, for the love of stories.
Rodney interrupted with an exasperated look on his face. Exploration dictated by your stomach, he muttered. I'm sure taxpayers would be delighted to hear about that. Shepard waved a hand dismissively. I'll lighten up, Rodney, he said. It worked out, didn't it? And now the only reason you've got your panties in a twist is that we've met a bunch of guys smarter than you. I held up a hand before McKay could reply. Once they got started, those two could go on for hours. So, Colonel, I asked, what did you find? He shrugged. Well, sadly, the cow things were a no-go. Apparently they're not good eating. But I haven't given up hope. Somewhere out there, I interrupted, and Colonel Shepard... He was suddenly all business as he said, what we found was an entire civilization just sitting there. And the puddle jumper scanners didn't pick up on that? I asked. Shepard grinned again. Nope. And that's what's so cool about this planet. When the team had landed, they had initially found exactly what they had nowhere. Actually, they didn't appear, added Rodney. We disappeared. Shepard dismissed the interruption. Yeah, I know, he said, but that's beside the point. The point is, it is not beside the point, Rodney snapped, incensed. It's a very salient point, the only point that actually matters. Rodney, I warned. And he subsided. The point Shepard was trying to make, he said then, was that when the team landed, they could see nothing and no one at all, anywhere. And then they could. They had found themselves in the middle of a settlement. It was more than a settlement. It was a city. Taylor talked about the amazing architecture. Shepard and Ronan were more interested in describing the technology. In Shepard's words, there were really cool flying cars. Wait, I interrupted, as the idyllic descriptions went on and on. The level of development you're describing is astonishing, especially for the Pegasus galaxy. Has this planet never been called? Shepard leaned back in his chair, clasping his hands behind his head with a distinctly smug look on his face. He waved an elbow towards McKay, saying, Go on, Rodney. Tell Elizabeth the best bit about this whole thing. McKay sighed. Well, they have technology that seems able to push them out of phase and thereby renders them not only invisible to the Wraith or to anyone else passing by, but immaterial too. I stress the word seems because I haven't examined the technology in any depth. Shepard leaned forward.
Rodney had started complaining even before we left Atlantis. He said, you know what? Why don't I have a go at the voice for you? Might not be perfect, but might as well. Wee bit more fun that way. Oh, remember those little sock puppet shows I used to put in for Aunt May's kids at Christmas? Those were the days. Anyway. So, as I said, Rodney was already whining. I can't believe you persuaded Weir to let us walk into a plague pit unprotected. We're not unprotected, Rodney. We're wearing hazmat suits. We'll be fine. Yeah, right. Like there isn't some hazmat suit-eating alien superbug out there waiting to get its jaws around this thing. Sure, plastic's gonna keep it out. Of course I ignored him. Before us...
I knew something was up when Rodney came over to my table. He was grinning. You know, when he does that, I know I'm not going to be happy. Radek, I'm glad you're here. I just spoke with Sam, and she agreed with me about my recommendation for the Apollo mission. You know, he calls Colonel Carter Sam, like they used to be boyfriend or girlfriend or something. In his dreams. What recommendation? You. Me? Yeah, we all agreed that it would be best for everyone if you took part in the big tour, you know? Go out there, keep an eye on everything. I tried to explain, but as usual, there is Rodney McKay talking, and then there is other people talking. And he listens to other people, well, not so much, you know, if at all. This is a brilliant opportunity for you. In fact, you should be thanking me for putting it in your way. It's a chance to impress Colonel Ellis with your skills. That'll go down well with the IOA. And think of the cool things you'll get to do, explore strange new worlds. If it's that interesting, then why aren't you going? Yeah, he lost his grin quite quickly then, you know. Well, clearly, I'm required here. Let's face it, I'm vital. This place would fall apart without me, you know? You can go, Radek. I mean, it's not like you're as invaluable to Atlantis as I am. You, we can do without for a few weeks. Me, well, it's me, isn't it?
Rodney McKay sat down and started talking to me. I say to me, I mean at me. I was kind of wrapped up in my own thing, and I nodded and pretended to listen, hoping that he'd just go away and leave me alone. Now, Rodney's not a bad guy, actually. Kind of irritating if you're not in the right kind of mood. He's all right with me, but I didn't want company. Anyway, something he said brought me up short. He was telling me about his day, and that he'd been having a problem solving some kind of technical thing in one of the labs, and then he said, but of course, it wasn't my fault, because there was that power surge and everything went screwy. Power surge? I asked. Never a good idea to interrupt McKay. Never. First, he looked annoyed at having his train of thought broken, and then he stared at me like I just asked the stupidest question in history. The one that shut down all the systems for 10 seconds, he replied, about 2 hours ago. What, were you asleep? What time exactly was that? I asked, knowing what he was going to say, and he told me 11:42, which was just about the exact moment I had my, whatever you want to call it, incident, seizure, whatever. So what was it, I asked? An attack? A glitch? And he just said it was some kind of power loop feedback error caused by systems realigning themselves to our new environment. Something like that, anyway. Half of what he says is gibberish to me.